You have long flowing robes, long white beard, and long flowing staff. But more importantly, you have a powerful spell book. But is it enough to claim the crown of command? Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter, and today, yes, you've probably guessed, we are taking another look at a Talisman character guide. This time, the humble, or not so humble, wizard. Yes, he is the one with the spells. He knows how to use them, but will it be enough to crack through and win the Talisman game? Now, we've done several of these base game characters. We're working our way through, so check those out. And this is the Fantasy Flight 4th edition. So we're going to be doing all the base game characters, and then we're going to be doing the expansions as well. So let's just see how you can win when you are the wizard. The powerful wizard. Just what are his stats? Well, he starts in the graveyard. His alignment is evil. Obviously, if you start in a graveyard, you're probably going to be evil. He has a strength of 2 and a craft of 5. His life starts at 4, and he has 3 fate. And the special abilities that the wizard has, he has 3 special abilities. The first one is you begin the game with 2 spells, so you take those from the deck. And the second ability is during the game you always have at least 1 spell, so you gain a spell each time you cast your last spell. And the third special ability is whenever you attack another character, you may choose to make that attack psychic combat, and you may not do this when you're attacked by another character. But we'll go into those in a little more detail. Therefore, the wizard's strength lies in his spell casting. So let's go back to the first special ability. You begin the game with 2 spells. Yes, it is that straightforward. You simply, after the spell deck has been shuffled, you then simply take 2 off the top of that. And like all spells, they are private, so you have a quick glance, and then you can put them down face down on the table. Now, this is a massive advantage to have not 1, but 2 spells to begin the game with. Depending on what characters are also playing the game, you might be the only character with spells to begin the game. So my advice here is to start casting those spells as early and as quickly as you can. Hopefully on your first go, maybe on the start of someone else's go, because some of the spells allow you to do that, because this tags in nicely with your second ability, which is you will always have at least 1 spell. So if you've got a bit of a duff spell, don't hang on to it thinking, well, I'll wait until I use it, to the perfect time. No, just cast it, because you'll get another one instantly. So especially early on in the game, when other characters may not have any spells, because their characters just aren't spell orientated, and it takes them a little bit a while to gain craft so you can have a spell, and also you need to then gain a spell. And again, spells aren't massively easy to come by. There are ways, but obviously it's not instant. You kind of have the advantage in that respect, so I would go for it. Early on, cast those spells. Now, spells will either disadvantage other characters, which is always fun, or they boost your own character as well. So get casting those spells. So yeah, I kind of tagged into the second ability, which is during the game you always have at least 1 spell. This is a massive advantage as well, especially as you start off with 2 spells. So as soon as you've cast your last spell, you just take another spell off the top of the deck. And like I say, if it isn't particularly useful straight away, just cast it, because you want to get to the good spells. And believe you and me, there are some really good spells in there. So that is, those combination is a killer. And then you've got your third special ability, is that when you attack another character, you may choose to attack the character in psychic combat, and you may not do this when a character attacks you. So let's break that down a little bit. It is quite straightforward though. Psychic combat is actually using craft, and because you start with craft 5, that's going to be your best way to attack another character. That's your strongest but that's your strongest element straight away. Because strength 2, you know, there are going to be characters that are going to be more powerful than you. And obviously, there are going to be more creatures that are more powerful than you. So you kind of want to, certainly on the early start of the game, you want to be attacking using craft, using the psychic combat. So when you land on another character, that's when you can choose. Otherwise, if a character lands on you and starts to attack you, it has to be as a normal attack, which is strength based. So that is a subtle difference. So when you can choose to make it, and again you can choose, you don't have to, but you can choose to make it psychic combat, that's when you land on another character. If they land on you and attack you, it has to be in combat. Unless, of course, they have an ability that means they can choose psychic combat as well. But then that would be their decision. The downside, little small wizard. The downside to the wizard is, well, there's not really. I mean, because especially those first two special abilities are really powerful. His strength, though, that is his weakness. He's only got a strength of 2, but his craft is 5, so it kind of balances out. But if he's unlucky, or if you're unlucky and you keep getting strength-based creatures to fight, or characters land on you and choose to attack you using strength, then you might be at a bit of a disadvantage. Although saying that, having spells just face down in front of you on the table can be a deterrent for other people attacking your other characters, because you can just sit going, well, yeah, try it, but look, I've got spells and I can get another spell if I cast it. So you can use that as a bit of a warning to other players. Favourite places to go if you are an evil character? There are quite a few. On the outer region, obviously go back to your starting square. The graveyard, you can replenish your full fate for free, and obviously you've only got 3 to begin with, so you might use that quite quickly. Or you can pray. You can roll 1 die, and 1 to 4 is ignored, 5 is gain a fate, 6 is gain a spell. Obviously you're more likely just to use it to replenish the fate, because obviously you gain a spell regardless, and you might as well not roll the dice because you can replenish your fate for free anyway. But it's worth going there because fate is very, very important. The crags, roll 1 die, go to the crags. If you roll a 6, a barbarian leads you out, you gain 1 strength. So it's worth taking the risk, because 4 to 5 if you roll is no effect. 2 to 3 is lose 1 turn, that's not a big deal really. And 1 is attack with a spirit craft 4. Well, you're already on 5, so it's very good to go there. And that's a good way of getting strength, because you're weak when you begin. So definitely go there. I would go there in your first, try to get to the crags in your first, 5 to 6 goes. Forest is another good place to go, especially early on in the game. You roll 1 die, it's similar to the crags, but this time if you roll a 6, a ranger guides you out, you gain 1 craft. So obviously the ultimate game is that you're trying to do is you are trying to get your craft and your strength up to round about 10. You could go a little bit early, but try to power up to 10, hopefully for both, because then you've got a definite chance to making it through the inner region. Places to avoid if you're evil, the chapel. Oh, never go to the chapel, because you're evil, and of course God will smite you, and you will lose 1 life. The middle region, the chasm, and this is kind of for all characters really. Roll 1 die for yourself and 1 for each of your followers. Obviously if you've got a lot of followers and they're useful, you don't want to lose them. If you roll a 1 or 2, if it's a 1 or 2 that you roll, that's for yourself, you lose 1 life. If it's 1 or 2 for a follower is killed, so you have to roll for you and you roll for the follower as well. So you could lose all your followers, so avoid that one. I tend to avoid that one. The best route to go when you've powered up, I would say again, craft 10, strength 10, try and get them equal if you can. But sometimes if you start with 5 of one and 2 of another one, so like this in this case 5 craft, you might start seeing that you're powering up your craft more than your strength. So the best route really is when you go for the inner region is what I call the craft route, which is the mines route. So you go to the mines, because obviously if you start on 5, as I say, you're more than likely going to power up your craft. You might not, your strength might somehow through the fate of the game be more powerful. Then I was just going the other route. But the mines, what you do there is you roll 3 dice and you subtract your craft from the total and move directly to it. So if you roll, if you roll and it's a 0, when you subtract your craft, then you stay where you are. If you roll a 1, then you go to the plane of peril. 2 to 3 is portal of power. 4 to 5 is warlock's cave. 6+ is the tavern. So obviously, the higher your craft, the better you've got to negate that situation. And then the next space will be the Vampire's Tower. You suffer blood loss. Roll 1 dice, so how many lives the vampire takes, and you can discard any number of followers to avoid the loss of life. So therefore, the followers can be used as cannon fodder in this respect. It's a bit cruel, but you are evil, so you have no qualms in giving up a follower, because by now the followers may have lost their impact, their power to you. So if you roll a 1 to 2, you lose 1 life. 3 to 4, you lose 2 lives. 5 to 6, you lose 3 lives. Obviously, if you don't want to lose your lives, you can push your followers in the way and they will take the hit instead. The pits will be the next one. Fight the pit fiends, roll 1 die, and fight that many pit fiends with a strength of 4. So obviously they're not powerful, but it might delay you. So if you've rolled a 6, you've got to fight 6 pit fiends. But what happens is you fight them all actually at once, so it won't delay you. I made a mistake there. But anyway, you either defeat all of them, or you are defeated. So again, you want to roll a low number, because then it's less chance of you actually losing lives. But with strength 4 by then, that's what I'm saying, you kind of need to get your strength up as well. So it doesn't really matter which way around. You want to get both strength and craft up to 10. Then once you've done that, you can go to the Crown of Command. Hopefully you've got a talisman, because you need one to get past the Valley of Fire. But of course, you knew that already. So, a brief recap here. Use your 2 starting spells early on in the game, because that can be a massive advantage. There might be no other player that has any spells, so use them early on. And obviously, because you've got that I always have a spell special ability, you can use them willy-nilly. So if you don't think this spell's any good, get rid of it, cast it, get rid of it, you will always have 1. So cast your spells. Fight other characters with psychic combat, so especially early on, if you think they've got good loot, so if you've got, if someone's just picked up a weapon or a powerful magic object and you want it, go and attack them, especially if they're vulnerable with craft, because you will have the advantage and you've got spells, and some spells aid you when you go into combat. Visit the graveyard to replenish your fate for free, or you can pray, but it's best just to replenish your fate for free. And you could possibly gain a spell. So if you had 1 spell and you wanted another one, I guess you could gain another one. It's always good to have more than 1 spell. Again, it's all about that advantage. Go to the crags to gain a strength, and go to the forest to gain a craft. And go to the mines route for the inner region, because more than likely your craft is going to be your more higher of the 2 attributes. And there we go. Hopefully you will win the Crown of Command. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed another Talisman character guide, and it gives you a few hints and tips how to get that advantage over your other players. As I say in the intro, we have covered pretty much almost all of the base characters. There's quite a lot now. I can't remember which ones we've done and which ones we haven't. So go check them out. We've created a Talisman playlist on our YouTube channel, so you can conveniently click on the playlist and then just binge watch and gain all that information. So hopefully you will be powerful and you will be the victor when you claim the Crown of Command. Until next time, remember to keep it unreal, especially if you can cast spells.